Will Height, and today I'll be discussing the research articles that I did of the spring semester course. Um, I will be discussing my top 5 that I found the most interesting out of the 10 and the most informational ones for me that I really enjoyed. So, the 5 that I'll be discussing today are Mental Health by Membride, Challenges and Opportunities in the Teaching Mathematics by Goose. Early Learning Environment Resources by Delta Kappa Bulletin. In Principle and Practice by Barker and Edwards. And then The Use of Music to Promote Purposeful Movement in Children with Visual Impairments by Coleman. And like I said, all of these were my top 5 that I had out of all 10. And I just felt like these were the best ones that I found the most interesting to me and the most helpful. So, the first one that I'll be talking about is Mental Health by Membride. This wasn't really my favorite one, but I thought I should share because it wasn't my least favorite. It was a very hard read for me. It had a lot of graphs for going along with the statistics, but it lacked pictures, and I'm a very visual person, so to me, it would have been more beneficial to have some pictures and things like that to go along with the information, not just the graphs. And I think if it had pictures of things that went along with mental health, you could better understand. Or a picture of a brain when it was talking about the brain and stuff like that. So I just think that it would have been more beneficial to not just me, but any reader that needs visuals to help them understand things. So I didn't really like that about it. But this one, the glow, this was my favorite glow of all the articles that I've read this semester. It had an abstract box at the very beginning of the article, so before you even begin to read your paper, it shows keywords, has definitions, and what to look for throughout the article. So before you ever get to those difficult words that you may not understand, you already have a background knowledge of what they are before you even get to them. So I really enjoyed that. That was very helpful and beneficial for me as a reader. So that's what I really liked about that one. The second one that I read was Challenges and Opportunities in Teaching Mathematics. And this was actually my favorite article that I read. I had no grows. It was very organized. It had graphs, it had pictures, it had good statistics, and it was things that I knew I trusted. I could trust them because the author actually, she cited other resources that she found while she was writing her paper for the readers, and it just, you know that it's a trustable source because she actually researched for herself, and it wasn't just out of her head as something she came up with. So that was a very important thing to me. And my favorite thing, though, about this article was throughout the text, it actually had questions. So in blue bold letters, it had a question, and then it would have a couple paragraphs explaining the question. So as a reader, normally we annotate and we try to figure out things and underline things, but she did that for us. She asked the questions and then she would answer it. So the reader was never left with a question unanswered, basically. There was questions that I didn't even think of that I read and I was like, oh, that is a good question. I'm glad that she interpreted that and made that into her paper. Like, it was a very good read. I really liked that. That was my favorite article that I've read. By far, that was my favorite. But my third one that I did was Early Learning Environments Resources by Delta Kappa Bulletin. This was not my favorite, like I said about the first one, but I thought it was important to share. My grow is that I think it needed a little more information instead of separate links. So, like, throughout the paper, it would have a couple paragraphs about the learning environments, and then it would have a link, and it'd say, if you want to learn more, go to this link. But once you went to that link, it was like, if you want to learn more, go to this link. And so on and so on and so on. The whole paper was, if you want to know more, go to this link. Well, I thought for a reader, it would have been more beneficial if they just put a little more information in there to not make it so difficult to read. Because I kept reading, but for a lot of people, they would stop and they'd be like, I'm not going to read this. So I think it was very important that they should add a little more information before they gave a link. But my glow was that it's a very important read, actually, for future and current teachers. It really dives into, but on the little information that it had, it dives into the early learning environments. And it's a really good read, and I think that it's very important for us teachers that are about to be teachers or teachers now. They really need to read these and understand what it's all about. So that's what I really got out of that one. My fourth one was In Principle and Practice by Barker and Edwards. I didn't have a grow for this one either. It was very easy to follow. It was very well written. The structure of it was phenomenal. I had no problem reading it, and it didn't have difficult words or anything like that. It was everything that I could understand, and it was suitable for all audiences. So children, parents, teachers, staff, faculty, anybody can read this and get something out of it. And I think that's a very important aspect to include in your papers that you're writing, because you want people to just be able to connect something out of it, get something out of the paper. So I thought it did a very well job of getting straight to the point and just being able to pull in all different types of audiences. So my last one that I did was The Use of Music to Promote Movement in Children with Visual Impairment by Coleman. I didn't have a grow for this one either. It was a very nice article. It had the visuals, the pictures that I liked. It had keywords. It had everything that you would want in a research article paper. It had everything. So I really liked that. And it also had the citations, like the previous one that I talked about. It had citations from other authors. So that allows the reader to know that it's a trustable source, and that, it was just a really good read, and it was trustable, and you'll want to read more of that author if you know that it's trustable. So once you understand that the author is actually doing what they need to do, the reader can understand better and know, oh, well, this is a really good author. I'm going to read more of his work. So then it's a win-win for everybody. But those were my 5 articles out of my 10 for the spring semester. I really enjoyed these 5 out of all 10 that I read, like I said, but the first 5 really lacked the information that I was looking for. They might be beneficial to other readers, but for me, they weren't really hitting the spot for what I wanted to learn. And I did more research when I was reading those, because I would not understand something and I'd be like, oh, what does that mean? But these were more outlined and structured better, so I thought these were the top 5 that I had. So moving on, I think that doing research articles is very important. This project has given me an opportunity to branch out and learn more. And I think that's very important for us young students that are about to begin our careers. We're not just going to be thrown out there, because this project that we did, it allows you to read and learn more background knowledge. And so I feel like this is very important, and I'm very thankful that I got to do it last semester and this semester. So I have 20 different articles to know information from, and I'm not just going to be thrown into the classroom and be like, oh, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing, but I can take what I learned from my articles and I can place them into my classroom one day, and I can help kids be what they need to be by just little certain facts that I took from my articles. So I really enjoyed this. I really think it's important for everyone to do it. And even though it's a very lengthy process, once you get the hang of it, you can get it done. And The